And welcome back, everyone, for Victory Lap. We are discussing all the crazy shit that went down in the MLB the past few days. Some wild stuff, some stuff that you're probably scratching your head out. And a guy got traded and got into a fight, which was insane. But I got Brian Mitchell with me. Brian, how we doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Excited to talk some MLB baseball, and specifically the Cubs. Cubs had a big deadline, so let's get into it.
Zach, how we doing today?
Pretty shitty day on the trade market for the New York Yankees, so let's get into it.
As always, this episode is brought to you by Save Our Livers. Go to saveourlivers.com. Use code VictoryLap. VictoryLap is all caps. Get 10% off. And help save your liver this weekend when you get hammered. So let's jump right into it. Obviously, I think the biggest trade of the day or the past, this week that everyone can agree with is Zach Greinke going to the Astros literally like at 4 o'clock. Makes the Astros just insane with their 1-2-3 starting pitching. Zach, what do you think about this move?
The Astros are by far now the favorites to win the World Series and by far to win the American League pennant. However,
I would say they still. I don't want to butt in, but the Dodgers are still very good. But yes, continue.
I understand the Dodgers are back there, but they've lost 2 straight. The Astros have won 1. The Astros. You have a 1-2-3 pitching out of Verlander, Cole, and Greinke. That's disgusting with that hitting.
Yeah.
By lose 2 straight, you mean lose 2 World Series. You don't mean 2 games.
Yeah, they lost 2 straight World Series.
At first, I was very confused, but yes.
I would
just
hope.
want to clarify that to the public.
I would hope he's not saying they're not going to win the World Series because
they lost.
For 2 seconds, I was like,
they lost the World Series.
But yeah. Zach, you go into it further if you want.
It's just, the Diamondbacks got a great return in it. They got 4 young prospects from the Astros. I think they got their number 3, 4, 5, and somewhere in the mid-teens.
Wow.
It was a great return for the Diamondbacks. They were also trying to deal Robbie Ray, but they were asking for way too much on him because he's got rights until 2021, so they wanted big return on him, and no one was going to bite on him. But they got to deal Greinke, who pitched today, went 5 innings, and it was just cut short of a rain delay. And he pitched against the Yankees, who he's going to see in the postseason, and made him look pretty stupid at the plate, other than the home run.
It was pretty wild though, because everyone was waiting for the big trade to happen, and it didn't get really finalized until 4:10, and then you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah, because everyone's tweeting, they're like, oh, the Astros did nothing.
Yeah.
And then you see Aaron Sanchez, who's going to be in their bullpen to help him out for a long relief. And then out of fucking left field, you got Zach Greinke going to them, which it's insane.
Yeah, they have 3 legit aces. And in the playoffs, you shrink down your rotation to 4 starters. So
even Wade Miley's having a good year. Wade Miley's having a great year.
Yeah, they're going to be tough to beat. I thought the starting rotation, the Dodgers had the best one, but they just got left by the Astros.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. Like I said, I'm pretty sure that's clear cut number 1 in the trade deadline moves. There was a few odd ones. The Indians trading Trevor Bauer to Cincinnati, and the Blue Jays sending Marcus Stroman to New York, and the Mets, not the Yankees. I think the craziest thing was, Yasiel Puig is in the middle of a brawl, and he walks back and probably is told, hey, dude, you got traded to Cincinnati, or Cleveland. Thanks for sticking up for us, but you got traded. Either you guys have thoughts on either of those trades? I, for one, have no clue what the fucking Mets are doing, but that's just me.
Yeah, so the Mets are actually pretty hot after the All-Star break, or ever since the All-Star break, but, I just don't you kind of need to sell. I understand they got controllability with Stroman, but I just don't understand really why they did that, because baseball is different. You can turn it around really fast, but the odds that the Mets compete for the NL pennant with Stroman there is, not very high.
Well, that's the thing, is they probably still get – let's say they make the playoffs somehow. They get a 1-game wild card. They lose, they're done. It's like, okay, really, what the hell were we doing?
If you win it, if you somehow win the wild card game, congrats, you get to play the fucking Dodgers. So.
Right, yeah, not much better right there. Zach?
With the Mets trade, I really think they made it, looking at it as an advantage going into next season. Because their starting five rotation now is DeGrom, Syndergaard, Stroman, Wheeler, and Steven Matz.
Okay,
yeah,
I guess
a next year type of thing.
So everyone was thinking that Syndergaard was getting moved. I guess if they would have moved him, I would have been really like, what the fuck? Okay, in that sense, yeah, I guess I get it a little bit since they kept Syndergaard and they got DeGrom. It's a pretty nasty 1, 2, 3.
I mean, even Matz and Wheeler are good guys to have at the end of a rotation. I mean, they're 2s and 3s in other organizations.
I mean, they have to fix their bullpen if they want to win in the next couple of years. But that's enough of the Mets. So moving forward, I mean, the Braves had a couple nice pickups. I would say the Cubs and the Braves are the two teams in the NL that got the most better at the deadline. So what do you guys think about the Braves moves?
I think it fit their needs that they really needed to get. They've obviously been a pretty good hitting team and all that. Getting bullpen help is basically what everyone said they needed to do, and they went out and got it. So for the Braves, I would say the Cubs and the Braves. I mean, the Cubs might have maybe needed a few relief pitchers, but I'd say both of them kind of got what they needed for the rest of this season, and what kind of was the hole in their teams. Zach, what do you think?
No, the Braves did exactly what they needed to. They needed a closer, and they got Shane Green, who's been one of the most dominant closers in baseball this season.
To honestly have as many saves as he has playing for the fucking Tigers is insane.
Yeah. They got what they needed, and I mean, they were my pick to win that division to start the year. I bet on them, so I like what they did.
What do you think about the Cincinnati-Cleveland trade?
I think the Indians got worse, and that's not what you want to do when you're. I think they're leading the wild card race right now by like a half game or something. And this isn't the NBA. You can win the World Series with that. So I just don't understand it. I mean, I understand that Trevor Bauer had that. Threw it over the center field fence, but I don't think that the next best course of action is to literally make your team worse. So. I don't like Trevor Bauer is one of the better pitchers in the MLB, and they got Yasiel Puig. But if you're trying to argue that Yasiel Puig's even in the stratosphere in terms of value, then Trevor Bauer, I just don't. That's just not true.
Zach,
I really think the Indians are just trusting their young pitching by making that move. You got Clevinger, who's going to be coming. He's on the deal or coming off soon. They have that Zach Plesac kid, who's a young one, and I think they're just trusting their young kids, which it's a ballsy move going into the postseason because you want experience, and Bauer's been there already. I mean, you got hitting back, but you lose out on pitching, and pitching is more important in the postseason than ever.
Yeah, pitching's. The Dodgers got Manny Machado at the deadline last year, and I was reading something that was worth like probably 1.5 wins moving forward for the year. So it's rare to acquire a bat at the deadline. Unless it's like a rental depth kind of piece, but normally you don't see teams in contention getting rid of stud starters. It just never happens.
That's the first I've ever seen of a team just because they were just so far back after the All-Star break, and then the Twins started on downslope, and the Twins are up. The Twins. I think the Indians were going to win that division. They keep Bauer by a landslide. Now you take Bauer out, and it's going to be more competing now for that division again.
Yeah, I think a reasonable person, more reasonable people would say that they got worse, and their odds to win the division got worse. So it makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know if they would have won the division with Bauer, but they definitely had a good shot. I don't think they have any shot at winning the division now. The Twins did start pretty bad after the All-Star break, but they're 6-4 in their last 10 now. They're not terrible. They're on a 2-game winning streak. It's only 3 games, but you got to feel like losing Bauer is going to – that's few wins right there in the regular season for you. I think Indians still make the wild card. I don't know, actually. I don't know. It's a really weird move from my part or from my standpoint. You guys want to talk a little bit about the wildest thing ever is Puig just hates the Pirates, so maybe that'll help him out that he doesn't have to play the Pirates anymore because it seems like he always.
The Pirates and Reds are just like kind of the bottom feeders in the division the past like 2 or 3 years. I want to say the Pirates were good in 2015, but after that they kind of faltered. But yeah, I mean the best highlights. The most times they get seen on social media and TV is when they're just beating the shit out of each other.
Especially when they play each other. Yeah, that's like the only time.
Did you know the Pirates, ever since they hired that manager in 2011, they lead the league in hits batsmen?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, they hit. Yeah, I mean, I watch almost every Cubs game, and they hit the Cubs all the time.
Oh.
Yeah, they purposely go in up and in. On
they have the one announcer. They're home announcers when they were playing the Braves one game when Albies or someone was wearing like those chains and he had them like out and whatnot, like what every MLB player does now. And the announcer's like, he ought to hit him right in the face for that. What's he doing wearing those during the game? And I'm just like, dude, when's the last time you watched an MLB game? That's like every team. Just because your team's fucking terrible, but.
Yeah. I've got no problem with hitting somebody, but if you throw at someone's head as a pitcher, you're a piece of shit.
I mean, dude, if they have them, like, they're just throwing at people to throw at people, it seems like at this point. Like, they hit people for, like, there's sometimes it seems like there's no reason. And when your announcers are saying it seems like a culture fucking thing at this point that they all like it.
They never throw at someone's head.
Yeah.
90.
I mean,
never.
I wouldn't really throw at people regardless, but all right. So, who do you think, other than the Astros in the AL, did the most?
In the AL?
In the AL, obviously the Astros won the trade deadline, but other than them,
I mean, the Yankees did nothing. If I'm not mistaken, the Rays either did nothing or next to nothing. The Red Sox did nothing.
The Rays got Jesus Aguilar. That's like all they did.
Okay, and I mean, he's been kind of good in the past, but he's been dog shit this year.
Yeah, he has not had a good year at all.
So what about the Athletics? I'm surprised they didn't do anything. They normally do. They did. I remember seeing them on Twitter. They did something. It wasn't like a huge deal, but they did something.
Who? The
A's.
This year?
Yeah.
I don't think they did anything. Zach, did they do anything?
Hold up. I'm going to search it on.
I know the Rays did get Eric Sogard.
Oh, that's right. They got Eric Sogard, and then they got Jesus Aguilar. So, I would say one of those things where I think they didn't do, like, too much, where it's like you're giving up too much stuff to get some players just to maybe make a playoff run, but they got, like, enough quality back, I would say.
They got really screwed this year when Tyler Glasnow went on the DL, and then now Blake Snell's on the DL.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the A's got.
And they're two aces.
The A's got Tanner Roark from the Reds, so that was actually a pretty good pickup.
Okay, so yeah, that's a good pickup. Minnesota Twins got a few relievers back.
I know they got Sam Dyson from the Giants.
So, I mean, it's kind of like maybe between the A's, Twins, and Rays because no one really did anything.
Yeah. It was it was one of the quietest deadlines of all time up until the last,
it was like
10 minutes.
Quiet, but not quiet. Like a weird not. And when I'm saying not quiet, it was like bad teams getting good pitchers. Like it made no sense. Like,
yeah, it was
like
weird.
It was quiet, but then Stroman goes to the Mets. It was quiet, and then Bauer goes to the Reds. So, what do you think about the NL?
It was. Well, I want to say something else real quick. It was mostly quiet because nobody really wants to give up high prospects nowadays.
The Twins also got Sergio Romo 3 days ago.
Okay.
Yeah, they did.
So yeah, it's just these like middle tier type of trades where there were literally no teams that were giving up big prospects because everybody likes cheap contracts and is afraid of overpaying, and that was obviously until the Astros trade where they gave up like 2 of their top 5 prospects. But normally you see that pervasively in the trade deadline, and this year there was really one only blockbuster trade.
Right.
But if we're going to go to the NL, we already talked about the Braves. I mean, The Cardinals did nothing. The Brewers did a little bit, but nothing really huge. The Dodgers didn't do shit because they don't need to do shit. They're just absolutely dominating everybody in the NL West and pretty much the rest of the NL. And what do you guys have to say? Because after this, I'm going to get into a little bit of what the Cubs did.
Yeah, I think the Braves made the biggest noise. I agree with you. I think the Dodgers didn't. Like, there's no point really to do anything at this point. I wouldn't give up prospects when you're like this good. Cardinals didn't do anything, did they?
No.
Brewers did a few little things. Nothing that I think's gonna like. I think if they wouldn't have done anything or they were doing these things, I don't think it was gonna make a difference. They're either gonna make the playoffs or not. I don't think this is gonna like push them over the top for them to be able to do it.
Like get to the World Series.
Yeah. Like they were gonna go to the playoffs regardless or not go to the playoffs. I don't think this is gonna push them over the top. I like what the Braves did. I think they might have had the best, them or the Cubs, but I mean, you look at the teams. The Dodgers, no. The Phillies, no. I guess the Nationals got some bullpen pieces, which they need. It was like it's a lot of little things. Somehow the Mets next year, this works out with Stroman, then maybe they were the biggest winners at the deadline. Zach, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest two moves were the Braves getting Melanson and then also Shane Green, then the Cubs adding some hitting. But the Phillies had one get, and they got Corey Dickerson.
Oh, that's right.
They got him from Pittsburgh, and I think that'll help them with some depth in the outfield. But other than that, you didn't really get much from. If it wasn't for Zach Greinke getting traded from the Diamondbacks to the Astros, this would have been one of the worst trade deadlines in like the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. It would have.
I feel like there's GMs that forgot that you can't no longer get those waiver wires in August. Like there was nothing going on.
I guarantee you, GMs did not forget that. But yes, that's a good point.
At this point, they did.
There's no way, dude. That's your job. There's no way.
Okay, clearly it's sarcasm here.
Okay, I was about to say, dude. There's no way. But yeah, I agree with you. They forgot. Well, I think Cashman might have.
Dude, he just wasn't willing to sell young prospects for pitching, and I don't understand why. Marcus Stroman went for little to nothing to the New York Mets. It was two pitching prospects, both who were out of the top 100, and the Yankees easily could have matched that offer unless the Blue Jays just didn't want to trade into their own division, and maybe they were asking too much for back. But if you're Brian Cashman, fucking get Marcus Stroman.
I honestly think
he's pitched in that division for 5 years. He knows how to pitch to everybody.
Yeah, it's just going to be a hindsight bias type of thing. Like they could still get to the World Series, and I wouldn't say it's like a World Series or bust type of year. Although a lot of Yankees fans might disagree with that, but if they lose in the ALDS or the ALCS, and it's because of their lack of starting pitching, then yes, everybody's going to be at Brian Cashman's throat.
Yeah, I mean, Cashman doesn't have to worry about a job.
Yeah,
he just doesn't.
He's like Theo.
The last 3 years, what he did for the Yankees and bringing in guys to help them makes up for everything. But it's just he was really quiet this year, and I don't think they were willing to trade their young prospects, which I understand you don't want to trade them, but it's to a point now. You just see. I mean, the Astros already had Verlander and Cole. This is before Greinke. You have to compete with that in the playoffs.
Well, isn't Garrett Cole's done? Like
Garrett Cole's a free agent
this
offseason. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's also why they did it, because Greinke's just going to slide into the number 2 once he's done, because he's controllable until 2021.
Yeah, slide in after another World Series dub.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be massive favorites. Them and the Dodgers, they're going to be way ahead of the rest of the field, probably.
I mean, the Yankees still have Severino and Betances coming back, but you can't rely on them to be at full strength going to a postseason.
Yeah, well, especially into that danger zone.
I mean, have they pitched at all this year?
No, they haven't thrown a third of an inning.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it'd be one thing if they threw, then got hurt. Now they're they haven't thrown at all. So that's so tough to rely on that.
Yeah.
At best, you could maybe pencil them in as the fourth guy. I know Severino's was the ace before he got injured, but
they said he's coming back and he's going to be out of the bullpen at first.
Yeah,
pretty much just to get him going.
Me.
They don't want to just throw him into starter role and just have him get rocked and lose all composure. He's only 24 years old.
So but I mean that's why you have rehab stints. But I mean,
but he's he's had 2 rehabs since he got re-injured.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Oh, that's not good.
No, that's not
Zach,
good.
any last words for Cashman? He's going to listen to the pod tonight, so.
Let's hope what they didn't do pays off come postseason time.
Brian, you want to get us caught up in the Cubby world?
Yeah, so, I mean, it started out with Tony Kemp from the Astros. A lot of people are just kind of like a WTF type of move, but honestly, the Cubs have like the worst depth of any. I mean, now they don't because of the deadline, but before the transactions happened, they had the worst depth by far of any team with legitimate postseason aspirations. It was a joke. So they needed to acquire at least one, hopefully 2 bats, and they got their good bench bat with Tony Kemp. He's a second baseman and corner outfielder who's basically a glorified utility man. And they've had problems at leadoff all year, and Tony Kemp has an 85.2% contact percentage, only a 6.5% swinging strike and percentage. So, I mean, the guy rarely strikes out. When he plays, he'll likely be at the top of the lineup. And then also the Cubs got Nicholas Castellanos. He's more of probably less of a bench guy and more of he's going to start every single time they play left-handed pitching because he absolutely rakes left-handed pitching. So I would consider him either leadoff or second every time they face a lefty, and that is a massive upgrade. The Cubs had to give up 2 prospects in the top 25, 16th and 23, which is kind of – I mean, that's kind of steep for a rental, but I mean, I still think it was warranted. They really needed to upgrade the bench. And now since you added those 2 outfielders, now you can start using Albert Almora like he's towards his strengths. He should never start another game for the rest of the year. He should only be used in late inning or late game defensive replacement situations, and then maybe a start like once a week max. But like late inning defensive replacement, that's what he's good for because he's a good defensive outfielder. And then, I mean, with how bad the Cubs' budget was after adding Kimbrel, I don't think they could have done literally anything else. Because I would consider Kimbrel, I mean, it wasn't a part of the deadline, but basically, I mean, it killed all their financial flexibility. So they got Castellanos, Kimbrel, they got, I'm blanking on his first name, but Holland from the Giants, who's basically a guy that will only be used.
Holland.
Yes, he'll only be used against lefties. Yeah. He's like awful against righties, but he's really good against lefties. So they ever needed to get a lefty out, he'll come in for one batter, and that'll be his job. And they actually needed that. They got Phelps, and he's not like an elite. He's not an elite arm out of the pen. But they really, I mean, that was Kimbrel, and hopefully Stroke comes back after this IL stint. So, I mean, they could have done maybe more out of the pen, but I like what they did. And I already talked about Tony Kemp. So, I mean, I love what Theo and Jed did at the deadline. They couldn't have done anything more. And although it's not going to skyrocket them in the World Series odds like this acquisition will do for the Astros, I think there's 3 teams in the NL that have World Series shots, and a lot of like Cardinals fans are probably going to be pissed at this, but I honestly think it's the Dodgers, Braves, and the Cubs. The Cardinals maybe because they're starting to figure it out, but I don't buy the Brewers whatsoever. I don't know about you guys, but I think it's basically a 3 or 4 team race in the NL for actual World Series aspirations. What do you guys think about that?
I would agree with that. I don't think like the Nationals or Phillies. I don't count either of them.
No.
The Brewers, their pitching is so damn bad. Like, it's so
horrible.
bad. So they don't have an ace, first off, that can throw you, game 1 and you feel comfortable. I would agree. I think the Cubs, obviously the Dodgers, I mean, that's just a no-brainer. And then the way the Braves have been playing, you have to kind of give it up for them, too.
And they also got a lot better at the deadline.
Exactly.
So I mean, the Braves are legit for sure.
Zach,
the Cubs, the Braves, and the Dodgers. But I honestly don't think the Nationals are that far out of it with their pitching staff. You have 2.
I agree. I would put the Nationals above.
You have
the
aces
Phillies
and
Brewers.
with Scherzer and Strasburg. Strasburg's won his last 7 decisions, and he's been filthy in all of them.
I didn't realize he actually leads the NL in wins.
He's been filthy this year.
You know who's also been filthy lately that I mean, his last starts have kind of just blown under the rug because of the trade deadline and the Cubs not really winning the games. But, dude, Yu Darvish has been like vintage Yu Darvish his last 8 starts. He has the second lowest hard hit percentage in the MLB behind Steven Strasburg. I mean, he's got like a 2.2 ERA over his last 4 starts. So, I mean, he's got legit ace stuff. I mean, Kyle Hendricks, maybe you could argue he's an ace, but probably not. So, like, he's the only pitcher in the Cubs rotation that, like, could be an ace in October. And it's a little too early to say that he's going to be. But if he continues ascending into, like, his actual potential, he could be monumental for the Cubs because you need that ace type of pitcher in October to win a World Series. And that's why the Astros sold their farm to get an ace. And now they have 3.
So with that, who do you think are actual legit contenders in the AL? I would say
Zach, you started off.
Yeah,
or
Zach.
For the AL?
AL.
For the AL, it's the Astros or the Yankees, I think, are the main contenders. I don't think there's...
You think it's only 2?
I don't think Boston makes the postseason.
I would say so.
I
was just about to say, if Boston makes the postseason, I don't think you can count them out. But
just because they have the pitching, but their bullpen is so bad, and they didn't address it at all.
Not just that, they're gonna really have to like turn it on and waste a lot of energy just to get into the playoffs right now. The way it's looking, because they're on the outside looking in right now, so it's gonna be rough for them to make the playoffs. But if they got in, I don't think you can ever count out that team. But then again, the World Series hangover is a thing, so I would agree the Yankees and the Astros. Clearly, the Astros is the favorite now, but I would say 3 in the NL and 2 in the AL.
Maybe if the Twins still win their division, I'll give them hope just because they rope the ball at home.
Yeah, but they're going to have the 3rd best record, so more than likely. Well, I don't know. All 3 of those teams are kind of right around each other. But I think they'd have to get home field for me to feel confident for the Twins to beat anybody.
Yeah, and they're also the Twins. Like, if you put the Twins roster in the Yankees name, we wouldn't be saying what we're saying, if you ask me. But I think the Twins are fine. But, like maybe 2 months ago, they looked like the best team in baseball, and there's been a little bit of a regression. I mean, they've turned it around in their last 10. I get that. But I also think they're playing in an absolute shit show of a division. I mean, the AL Central is garbage. You got the Royals and the Tigers, who are 2 of the worst 4 or 5 teams in baseball. The White Sox have the 3rd worst run differential in baseball and have been dog shit after the All-Star break, so they're not good. So I think their record's a little bit inflated. It's tough because, I think I actually agree. I think maybe the Athletics. I mean, the AL West is a loaded division, so I think they might be a little bit better than the record indicates, but normally they don't really do that well in the postseason, at least the last, 4 or 5 years. I mean, they have a couple World Series under their belt, but it sucks, though, because, they're not going to win their division with the Astros, and they'll play a team like the Indians or maybe Boston or the Rays in a wild card game, and then they get to face the Astros or the Yankees. So it's just that's a really tough ask for the Athletics to really do anything in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't say they're legit contenders at all.
Yeah, I mean, I was just trying to think of a 3rd team.
Yeah, like you said though with the Twins, I think baseball's just catching up to them. I think they started off real hot and whatnot, but I think baseball catching up to them in the sense of I don't think they can legit win it, and this is showing that now that you're through the season, they've started to kind of phase off. Zach, anything else?
That's pretty much all I got. Yankees really pissed me off after today. So,
do we want to do a preview of what you think's going to at least go out in the Cubs and the Yankees division?
I mean, we can even do every division now.
Yeah, might as well because
NL,
probably don't have another MLB show for a while.
I'll start in the NL. I think Braves run away with it. I don't think there's any way they lose it. I think the Cardinals figure it out, and I think they win the Central. I think, obviously, the Dodgers, I mean, that's just a gimme. And then my 2 wild cards, I think it's the Nationals and the Cubs. Brian?
I think I would agree with the Braves and the Dodgers. I'm actually sure. Well, I mean, 6.5 is reasonable, but I'm kind of shocked of how good the Braves have been the past, I want to say, month. I really didn't buy them before them, but they've clearly separated themselves from the NL East. So I'll go with the Braves and the Dodgers. I still have confidence in the Cubs. If it wasn't for the trade deadline they just had, I would be very weary and scared of the Cardinals, and I mean, I kind of still am. I'm not scared of the Brewers at all. I don't think they're any good.
Is Ozuna back yet?
Not yet. Which is terrifying. What's scary is Goldschmidt has figured it out. He's homered in like 7 of his last 8 games. But I think the Cubs win that division. I would have said more like 86, maybe 87 wins that division 2 weeks ago. But the division's separating itself, and the Reds and the Pirates are sucking. So I'm going to go with the Cubs winning 90 games, and that wins the NL Central. What do you think wins the NL Central? Because that is I'm not sure. It could be anywhere from 86 to 92.
I took the Cubs at 86.5 wins, so if they don't get 87, I'm coming for your head.
I think they'll get. They've
blown so many one-run games in the last 2
fucking
weeks.
Insane. Dude, you know how many one-run games they've lost on the road this year? It's absurd, and they've led in almost all of them.
Yeah, it's terrible when you bet on them.
Zach, who do you think wins the NL? Or the NL East, NL Central?
NL East is the Braves. Central, I think the Cubs are going to come ahead with that. I think their acquisitions at the deadline was huge for them.
You just want them to win your bet, that's all.
That too.
Well, Michael, we have a bet against each other for the Cubs, and it was I said the Cubs and you said not the Cubs.
Yeah, in the NL Central, that's right.
You have a rooting interest in this as well. You picked the Brewers last time we had a show, not the Cardinals. So.
Yeah, well, last time we had a show, I had faith in the Brewers, and then I've watched their starting pitching, and it's so bad that I don't know how anyone could have faith in that.
I think 3 from now, the Brewers are 5 games back from both the Cardinals.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, you have the Cubs, I have the field, which is basically the Cubs versus the Cardinals.
Yeah.
So, Zach, who do you have? You have the Dodgers, obviously.
Yeah, Dodgers in the West. My 2 wild cards are going to be the Nationals and the Cardinals.
Okay, so the AL, I have.
I didn't pick my wild cards. My bad. I'm going to go with the Cardinals. Cardinals. I would have said, I'm going to go with the Nationals. If I was a Phillies fan, I'd be just throwing up and sick about how.
Well, you got Bryce Harper for sure.
Yeah, the Nationals win or go to the playoffs, and the Phillies don't.
And also, Arrieta is he's just not good at all.
They're saying he possibly need Tommy John.
Yeah, well, he's pitching
his elbow's not good.
He's pitching,
and his velocity's down considerably, and that's the worst thing of a starting pitcher you can have.
Zach, who do you have in the AL?
American League East, still going to stick with the Yankees. They got a commanding 8-game lead. Central, I'm taking the Indians. I think Minnesota could crumble. Okay. I'm just telling that's a dark horse. And then the West is Houston. I don't think Oakland can make an 8-game comeback with how good that pitching staff just got.
Who do you?
Even if they didn't add Greinke, they're not making that comeback.
I was about to say, even without Greinke, I still feel they win the AL West. They've been playing really good baseball as of late. Who's your 2 wild cards?
My 2 wild cards are going to be Minnesota, since I took the Indians. And then I'm going to go with the Oakland Athletics for taking the other wild card.
Okay, Brian?
I'm going to go with the leaders at this point, Astros, Twins, and Yankees. For the wild card, last time we did the show, I had the Red Sox, but I think the Red Sox actually kind of suck. I was looking at their wins, and they have anywhere from 25 to 28 wins against the 4 worst teams in baseball, or the 4 worst teams in the AL, which are or the 5 worst teams in baseball because the Marlins also suck from the NL. So I don't think they're very good. So I'm not going to go with the Red Sox. I would have picked the Indians to win the AL Central if they didn't fucking give away Bauer. I think they got worse as a result of that trade. But I do think the Indians are a wild card team. And then I'm going to go with the Athletics as well. So I think it's going to be the Indians and the A's battling out in that wild card game. And I honestly think it'll go to the A's. But I mean, that's a little bit before projection. What do you think, Mike, in the AL?
I think Yankees hold their lead. I mean, 8-game lead's pretty big. Astros 8-game lead pretty big, and they got better. I think the Twins stay, for your point, too. I think losing Bauer is kind of send the – I think they think they're going to do better, but I don't see them passing the Twins. Twins kind of have started to play a little better as of late. Maybe that's because they're playing the Marlins and the White Sox as of late, but still can get them in the right direction. I think it's the Athletics get the first wild card. 61-47 right now. They're about a game and a half off the Indians or a game behind the Indians. I think the Indians drop down, and I don't think the Rays continue their success. I think the Red Sox, defending champs, make it, and I think they lose in Oakland in the wild card.
I like it. It's interesting that none of us picked the Rays, but
yeah,
I kind of agree. They've kind of fallen off.
They easily could make it, but yeah.
Losing killed them.
Who's what?
Losing Blake Snell for a few weeks hurt them a lot.
Yeah, I mean, they're a half game back. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think they make it. I wish the Angels would make it. That would make me really happy, but they're not going to.
Losing La Stella actually killed them.
Dude, they're actually really bad without him, which is like insane to think about, but yeah.
Gave him away for fucking nothing. Everybody talks about the Eloy trade or whatever, but that was probably the worst trade Theo's ever made in his tenure as a Cubs, but
yeah,
whatever.
All right, any last...
He didn't sign Jacoby Ellsbury.
What?
The Yankees signed Jacoby Ellsbury. He hasn't played a game in 2 years and racks up $21 million a season.
Well,
what?
That's just smart man, dude. That's just a smart man.
I hate that man with a passion.
Any last thoughts from either of you?
That's Mike's hard, Brian.
Fuck off.
Wow. So
let's do our World Series projections. We don't have to go through the
who beats who
playoffs.
Okay.
Let's go to the World Series matchups. Who plays who?
Okay, Zach. Who plays who and who wins?
Astros beat Dodgers in 6.
Brian.
I'm gonna go Yankees Cubs.
Ooh.
Who wins?
I'm not saying.
Jesus. Okay.
We'll get back to this at a later date.
Yeah,
Zach, I'm with you. I think the Dodgers go back to 3 straight. I think the Dodgers might have won it, but with Greinke on the Astros, I think Astros beat the Dodgers. So you got Astros, and then you have a we will not say. All right.
Hey, I would love the Cubs-Yankees World Series. That'd be awesome.
I would love that. And it's not even out of the realm of possibilities. The Cubs I think they're going to be the second favorite out of the NL when the postseason begins. Obviously, they're not going to be a bigger favorite than the Dodgers. And then the Yankees, I think, will be second in the AL too, right behind the Astros. So I
really hope that doesn't happen. Cubs, hope you don't win your division either. But we switched to beer now that we called you out. Ooh.
I was drinking a beer the whole time.
It looks like a not your father's root beer to me.
Oh, all right. Well,
you jackass.
Well, that wraps up our MLB show. Hope you enjoyed it. And we're back for our segment with Swanson Johnson. He's coming off a big golf victory over the weekend. He's 10-5 right now in baseball picks. Swanson, how are we doing today?
Doing great. Glad to be back. It's beautiful. It's been a great couple weeks here. Weather's great. I'm just looking forward to continue my hot streak. Got to stay hot for my people.
So the first golf tournament you gave picks out, you had the 2nd, 4th, and 6th finish. And then this past weekend, you gave out Brooks Koepka. And final day, Brooks kind of ran away with it. You want to talk a little bit about this weekend and your golf pick?
Yeah, so going into this past weekend with the WGC in Memphis, I had a few guys. Last year, I picked Justin Thomas in this tournament. Got him at 26-1 last year. I had 50 on him. Won me 1,300. So it's a tournament that I felt very good with, and I targeted Koepka, Thomas, Cantley, and Finau. I had Kepka for a third of a unit. For a third of a unit for me, for example, would be $100. Had 100 on him at 10-1. He made me $1,000.
So if you don't mind, real quick, so break down again. Your units are $300 base, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So whenever I refer to a unit, that is your typical bet, what you would bet on something. For me, I do $300. So when I say I had a third of a unit on Kepka, that would be $100. And he ran away with it, made me $1,000. Not only did I have that, but going into Sunday, instead of hedging my bet, I doubled down on him, put another 50 on him at plus 210, made me another $105. If you follow me on Twitter, you would have saw that I added a sixth of a unit on him. I felt great about him all week. Played great on Thursday and Friday, just wasn't making some putts. Saturday, shot a nice 64, 6 under par. I even spoke with you going into Saturday. I said, I feel like Kepka's going to shoot a 64, goes out, shoots a 64, and then you can go back on my Twitter going into Sunday's round. I said he's going to shoot about a 64, 65-ish, win the tournament. And what did we see? We saw him shooting bogey-free 65, got to 16 under, won by 3 strokes. Never really was in doubt. Kind of got wayward at the start, first couple of holes. But once he took the lead, it was smooth sailing from there. What the best part about it was how he rolled in 45 minutes before his tee time.
Yeah, right. He did. I was watching. I don't know. I gamble the same picks that Swanson sends me, and I was like, "Where the hell is Brooks?" And he rolls in 45 minutes. He says he's ready to go, and that's what I texted. I texted you on Sunday, and I was like, "I feel like the first 2 to 3 holes are basically his warm up, where everyone else is ready to go. He's actually now warming up in the first 2 to 3 holes."
Yeah. That my favorite part about Sunday was, I'm watching the coverage on Golf Channel there before it started on CBS at 2, and it's like 1 o'clock, and commentators are like talking about where the hell's Kepka at, and they're showing like where his car should be, and the one's like, he's been texting me joking around. I said, Brooks, you ever gonna get here and warm up? Get loose? And he responds to him, I'm already loose. Like,
yeah, exactly.
That's just the type of guy I love. That's why I love backing him. And, of course, paid off. So 2 years in a row, won that tournament now. And we're profitable now on golf and baseball.
Yep, so we got two going right now since football has not started. Obviously, basketball isn't going on right now. But back to your MLB, you are 10-5 right now in your picks. You're positive, 5?
Just over 5 units, 5.05 units. And those picks will continue to roll on my Twitter. If you want to give me a follow, you'll see my picks throughout the day, during the week and weekend. During the week, I try and stick to posting them around 6 o'clock. If there's day games, there might be posts throughout the day. So I recommend you turn on your alerts to, get an alert when I make a tweet. I won't tweet so much that it gets annoying, but that way you can see if I make a pick during the day. Like today we had the Dodgers, and they won 5-1 at Colorado. So.
Yep. So like you said, give them a follow. And now this weekend we have another golf tournament coming up. You want to talk a little bit about this golf tournament?
Yeah. So this week coming up, we got this it's at Sedgefield Country Club in Greensboro, North Carolina. It's the Wyndham Championship. It's the last tournament before we get rolling in the FedEx playoffs. We don't got all of the best players in the world playing this week. They're taking a week off, such as Brooks Koepka. But it's par 70 course, not that long. I want to say it's about 7,200 yards, so only 2 par 5s. So, you want to make sure you're hitting your fairways. It's a gettable course where you can shoot very low round. I want to say it was Snedeker a couple years back, shot a 59 in one of his rounds. Broke the 60 barrier there. And last year, of course, Sned's won. That's one guy this week that I think could have a good week. Of course, suits him well. Other guys I looked at consider Hideki Matsuyama. He's played there well before, but he's also missed the cut a few times. It's an important week for him leading into there. And then, of course, Webb Simpson's the favorite. He's been killing it lately. He finished second last week, 3 strokes back of Koepka. And then you got other guys like Trez Reavie. I really like his form lately. Long shot like Charlie Hoffman, considered him. But this week, I'm only sticking to allotting my money based off a half a unit. So my typical unit's $300, so $150 I'm spreading out. I'm only taking 2 golfers, give us a little bit of action. I love Spieth. I got him at 18-1 for a third of a unit. I'm putting $100 on him to win $1,800. I really like him. If you look at his rounds lately, he hasn't been that great off the tee. He's had solid rounds. He's been getting the birdies, but he's had those holes where he shits the bed per se. I want to say in the WGC, one of his rounds, he had 2 triple bogeys. If you just limit those to 2 pars right there, he goes from shooting a 6 under in the tournament to 12 under, tied for third with Leishman. Just those 2 holes. And then, of course, he had a couple other double bogeys throughout his tournament. And he still was able to shoot a 66 under. I want for the tournament, you look at Sunday, he even fired a 68 with a couple bogeys and a couple double bogeys, which that just tells you that when he's hitting it, he's getting it right. He's been birdieing a lot of holes, and against a weaker field, I think he's going to be right there on Sunday in contention. He wants to, be rolling into the FedEx playoffs on a good note. And I think it's time for Spieth to win one. And then I'm going to put a 1/6 of a unit on Victor Hovland. For those of you that don't know, just before I get into it, I got him at 32-1. So for me, that's 50 to win 1,600. He's the second golfer I'm taking. For those of you that don't know who he is, just turned pro, went to Oklahoma State, same school as Ricky Fowler. And then, of course, Matthew Wolff, who won a tournament a few weeks back. And he's the third guy of 3 guys that just turned pro, and Matthew Wolff, also from Oklahoma State, and Morikawa, who just won the Barracuda Championship this past weekend. He's from Cal, and arguably Hovland's the best of the 3. He was the low-am earlier this year at 2 of the majors, and in my opinion, this course suits him perfectly. He's a great ball striker, and especially after Morikawa winning last week, he's kind of feeling the pressure like, hey, these other 2 guys have already got a champion tournament win under their belt. So feeling the pressure, I think he'll be going for it this week. He's in the PGA events he's been in. He's played well. And like I said, it could be arguable he's the best of the 3. And I really like how this course sets up for him. And at 32-1, I think you're getting great value. But those are my 2 picks for this week. I got Spieth for a third of a unit, Hovland for a 1/6 of a unit. Depending on how the weekend goes, tune into my Twitter. Might add one live pick. That's at most I would see, just because we got 3 weeks after this with the FedEx playoffs when I want to save up for investments there, because those will be some exciting tournaments to come.
So there you got it. You got his picks for this week. Like I said, follow him on Twitter at SwansonJohnson2. He's 10-5 on baseball right now. He'll continue to rattle off those baseball picks. He's going to come on our shows and do some over-unders for football season wins and some NFL Super Bowl odds. So give him a follow. Thank you, Swanson. Yeah. Always appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it. Like Mike said, I'll be in the weeks to come here in August. I'll be previewing a lot of football. I'm doing a lot of research right now, looking at some over-unders, playoff odds for college football, and playoff odds for the NFL over-unders for that, and Super Bowl predictions I'll definitely have. And then I'll be coming on Irish Insight to give a little preview on my opinion on Notre Dame football, what I think their over-under looks like, and what my opinion is in regards to I think they can make the college football playoffs. But definitely tune in to Victory Lap and Irish Insight in the next couple of weeks if you would like to hear previews on football.
All right. Appreciate having you, Swanee.
Appreciate it as always.